Yeah, it's going to be a lot of information. So, because I think originally you guys were trying to do like in person at Oz, right?
Right.
And um, trust me, for the stage that you're at with your puppy, you would have walked away going, that was not worth that much money. So this is very simple stuff.
Okay.
So the way we've been doing the Zooms is, are you guys working from home or anything currently due to
I'm
COVID?
working from home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm not sure you're aware of, but because of COVID, obviously a lot of people working from home, a lot of people got dogs and puppies,
Right.
is separation anxiety.
Right.
Okay. So when it comes to puppies, I always prioritize behavior first because behavior is always the hardest thing to fix. The best and easiest to just prevent it.
Yeah.
So for your puppy, you know, potty training, crate training, preventing separation anxiety, correcting puppy biting, like that's like the important stuff. Sit down, stay, come, place, heel can always be taught at any age.
Right.
Okay. Now, what I've been having my clients do is you can go on YouTube, and we have some videos ourselves. We're working on getting more content up towards puppies. But you can go on YouTube and just look up like how to train my puppy to sit with treats.
Yeah.
You'll get a lot of stuff, right? So I've told my clients while we're doing the, the potty training, the crate training stuff, because it's a lot of information, you just go on YouTube. You can start that today. And then once we get all this kind of information stuff out the way, which usually takes about, depending on the person, about the third to fourth class, then I go, okay, now that we're good with that, now I'll start helping you with your obedience stuff.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how far you've gone along. I can always just jump in and go, okay, that looks good. This is the next step. Or that looks like it needs some work. This is how we're going to fix it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. Sounds good. I've had little success with sit. Just, trying to like expend the energy or, in between, like in the middle of the day, just to get her up and about doing something.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
but because she's 9, is she 9 weeks now?
She is 11 weeks.
11 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
So, puppies, we can start training as young as 8 weeks the day they come home. And that's how I always suggest people do it.
Right.
Did you teach her sit yourself or did you teach her sit from like watching stuff?
From watching stuff.
Okay. Who did you watch?
Oh boy, who was it? Who did I watch? Oh, I don't even remember her name, but it's this girl.
Does she have short hair?
No, long hair. Okay. Long, I think blonde hair.
Okay. What I would suggest, does she have a lot of videos?
Yes, she does.
Okay. What I would suggest is, if you watch someone you like, so at least there's some consistency there, because you're going to come across conflicting ideas a lot of times.
Right.
With training.
Right.
So yeah, if you liked her personality and her approach and stuff, my suggestion is, you kind of just stick with it. And
do you
then
have any recommendations?
For positive only, like I usually recommend Kiko Pup. It's KIKOPUP.
Okay.
She's got a lot of content up. There's a lot of stuff that she does that I don't like, but it's more so behavior stuff. But for puppy stuff or whatever, it's fine. Because behavior gets complicated in the dog training world.
Right.
Okay. Because there's people that are completely against correcting dogs, but dogs bite each other like that. That's how they correct each other. So if you avoid that problem for too long, then you have a bigger problem when the dog's an adult.
Right.
So, but Kiko Pup's pretty good for like the real simple puppy stuff. Otherwise, if the person you selected has like plenty of content, and you can always email it to me too, whoever it is.
Okay.
And if I'm familiar with some of the trainers on YouTube, and then I'll let you know, like, yeah, this looks pretty good, because your puppy's only 11 weeks. You're not going to screw your puppy up. Okay.
I got to know.
Yeah, so don't worry about that. Okay. You're not going to screw your puppy up. by doing this, because I'm assuming it was like clicker or treats to get the puppy to sit.
Treats. Yeah. And so when I first got her, she wasn't really treats motivated. I think she was never used to having treats. In fact, she wasn't eating much in the first couple of days because I was just giving her dry food. But once I started doing a mix of dry and wet, like she would finish the entire thing. And it was only recently, like the last couple of days, well, I've only had her for a week actually, where she took to treats. And I started giving her like those, brain teaser games, puzzles, with treats hidden on it. And she took to it really well. And she actually solved them pretty quickly. Like within 5 minutes, she figured it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, what I am struggling with right now is, so she came from a breeder and they were doing a little bit of crate training and leash training before I got her. So they would put her in a crate for an hour a day.
Okay.
And she's been fine sleeping in the crate.
Okay.
She doesn't go in on her own. Like she prefers to sleep outside. So this is her play pen area, which is connected to her crate, which is always open. And the crate has enough space for her to only turn around.
Okay.
It gives me the ability to resize it as she grows. And like I will feed her water and her food in her crate. But she'll still prefer to, like, she'll fall asleep. She'll nap in her play area. I don't pick her up and put her in the crate during her naps. I only pick her up and put her in for at night.
Okay.
And then I have a crate cover, which I cover in the day, but I open at night. I cover at night, but I open in the day.
Okay.
She stays in from, usually I put her in between 9 to 10. She stays in till usually about 1 or 2 a.m. where she'll whine and I'll let her out. And typically she goes potty. And then she'll want to lay outside again in her play area. But I give it about, 15, 20 minutes and I put her back in. And she stays in till about 5 to 6. I'm trying to drag it till like 6:30. So the first couple of days she was waking at like 5. There was one time I did put her back in to the crate from like 5:30 to 7, and she stayed in. These past couple of days, like she's been doing fine. And she doesn't whine until about 6:30. And then so I feel like crate, she's fine with the crate. She doesn't resist it, but she doesn't go in willingly either. Sometimes I put her in, she'll want to keep coming out. So she'll come out like 2 or 3 times. But eventually I'll have to shut the door. And when I close the door, she'll always wake up. She's extremely sensitive to like sound. She can be napping. I'll just walk past her and she'll wake up. Sometimes she'll be a little startled. Sometimes she'll just wake up and then like go back to her nap. So every time I close her crate, she'll wake up, she'll stand up in her crate, she'll, look around. But then once I close the crate cover, she's usually fine. Like she doesn't whine.
Anything else?
So that's with the crate. She hasn't had any accidents in her crate.
Okay.
But potty training has been hard. And potty training in an apartment. has been hard. I resorted to using puppy pee pads in her playpen area, which I use more of during the day, like when I am in meetings. Her typical routine, I've kind of figured it out. After she eats, so I bring her down for a short walk. It's meant to be, you know, as soon as she wakes up, she'll need to pee and poop, right? So I bring her down, she does her business, and then we go back up. Once we come back up, I'll play with her a little bit. At 7 a.m., I give her a breakfast. Typically after every meal, you know, 15, 20 minutes after a meal, I bring her down for another potty walk. So that's where she'll pee and she'll poop. The good thing is she only does her big business outside. Downstairs. She's only maybe had one accident, you know, in the first day or two when I was still trying to figure out her schedule. But the peeing piece is where I can't quite time it, or I can't quite train her to always do it, the puppy pad, the pee pad. Like there are hits and misses. When she wakes up in the middle of the night, I just let her on her play area and she'll go to her pee pad. And it's always, I just use one sheet, right? I don't lay the entire play area. And she's always spot on. She always does it on the pad. But in the day, it hits and misses. More misses than hits, actually. And it's always kind of around the same area, though there are like a couple of times where, you know, it can be in a totally different spot. So I've been on the cleaning exercise. Yeah, I've just started today to really try and bring her. So I have a small little balcony area, which I've laid with artificial grass. And in one corner, I have a grass pee pad specifically. Like I would love for her to go to that grass pee pad specifically and not the entire balcony. We've not had success yet. She's done it a couple of times on that specific grass pee pad. Sure. But today she's just been, I bring her out usually when she wakes up from a nap, because I know that's typically when she'll pee. And she's done it outside today, all morning, just not on that specific grass pee pad, because I can't catch her in time. Okay. But after she pees, I don't put her back onto the grass pee pad either.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So this is all normal stuff.
Right.
Okay. So this is like for the first class, it's typically potty training. And there's a few things that you're doing what most people do, and it tends to be incorrect.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to go over all these things and I'm going to give you options. Okay. So we're going to start with the easiest one, and that's the overnight stuff. Okay. Your puppy can sleep through the night. Okay. You don't have to wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Okay. Now, so I'm going to give you two options here. Okay. Because, so you live in a condo apartment building? Yeah. Okay. So you have neighbors and stuff. Right. Okay. One thing that I do suggest is you let your neighbors know, hey, I just got a puppy. So please let me know if there's any like bothersome noises or whatever. Just by taking that initial step, because I've had clients get puppies and then they don't tell their neighbors, and then the neighbors complain to the building that the puppy is raining, whatever. So it's just this way you avoid that they'll come to you directly as opposed to just resorting to going to the building. Okay. Right. So for overnight, where is she stays kenneled by the playpen area. Correct. Okay. And then you have your own separate room. Correct. Okay. So what I do is, do you have a timer set, or do you wake up when she gets up and whines?
Um, I don't have a timer set.
Mm-hmm.
But I usually get up when she whines.
Okay.
But it's usually about the same time.
Sure. So when you get up, because you said you get up and you let her out, correct, to go potty?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is you're creating a habit. And
Okay.
then she'll always get up at 1 o'clock to go potty.
Right.
Right. And do you want to wake up at 1 o'clock for the rest of your life?
No, I don't. And the only reason why I do that is because, I read that, puppies, they need to go potty every 2 to 3 hours.
But that's when they're awake and active.
Okay.
Overnight, they can sleep. She can already sleep overnight.
Okay.
I can tell you that right now. But she just needs to learn to do so.
Got it. Okay.
So what I would do, and I'm going to give you two approaches.
Okay.
My preferred approach is if I bring home a 2-month-old puppy, I put them in the kennel, ideally away from where I'm going to hear them.
Okay.
And I just go to sleep.
Right.
And I wake up the next morning, 7 o'clock. Maybe the puppy peed and pooped overnight, right? But that's what deters them from peeing and pooping in the kennel again, right? So what ends up happening is puppy wakes up at 1 o'clock in the morning. They cry because they have to use the bathroom. I don't get up. Puppy goes, I have to use the bathroom. They use the bathroom. Then the puppy goes, this is gross.
Okay.
So when I wake up the next morning, the puppy's like, let me out of here. I clean them up. I clean the kennel. I take them outside the potty. And then we start our day. Then the next night, the puppy wakes up. They cry, but then they think twice about it, right? And they go, last time I peed and pooped, this happened. They try to hold it, but maybe they go again.
Right.
Same thing. I wake up the next morning, I clean them up, take them out. By the third day or third night, now the puppy's sleeping straight through the night.
They should know.
Okay. So when we do training, in my theory of training, there should be a balance of both positive and negative. Okay.
Right.
This is not going to make her hate her crate. This is just going to teach her that she should hold it overnight. Otherwise, she has to sit with it throughout the night. Okay.
And generally, they don't want to do that, right? It's against their nature to want to do.
It's against instinct, right? I mean, it's like people, right? We have a bathroom. We don't eat in the bathroom, right? And we don't do bathroom anywhere else but the bathroom. So it's the same thing for dogs. They don't want to pee and poop where they eat and sleep. So it goes against instinct unless, I've had a couple of dogs throughout the years that didn't have that instinct because they were puppy mill dogs.
Right.
Okay, but that was a totally different reason.
Right.
So, but in most cases, it's a very quick turnaround. Okay, because when she wakes up at 1 o'clock and you take her out and stuff and you let her sit there for 15, 20 minutes, like she's learning like, oh, okay, this is cool.
It's okay, right?
Right. So what I usually tell my owner, my clients is, if you want to sleep from 10 to 7, you sleep from 10 to 7. Okay. But expect to get messes. But she's small right now. You want to get out the way while she's small because she's going to grow very quickly.
Right.
Okay. So she's easier to clean up and all that stuff. And then typically within a couple of nights, the puppy is just sleeping through. Okay. That's my preferred approach. The drawback to this is if she does soil her kennel, she might bark and whine because she's like, hey, I soiled my kennel.
Right.
Okay, so she's doing so with reason. So if you live in a standalone home, it's easy. So I'll tell my clients, like, put the dog in the kennel, like, in the closet in the first floor while you're on the second floor so you don't hear them.
Okay.
And then it makes life easy. And it's a very quick turnaround. But if you have to worry about neighbors, obviously you don't want her barking, at that time of night.
Right.
Is you can, let's say she wakes up at 1:30, is you gradually push it back to 2 o'clock, to 2:30, to 3 o'clock, to 3:30, right? Until eventually she'll sleep through the night and then you don't get up till like 6, 7 o'clock or whatever. You're pushing her to the time that would be realistic for you.
Right.
Okay? So she's still going to wake up and she might whine for a bit, but you're just progressively pushing it further back. And you can do it, 15 minutes. You don't have to do it half an hour. But it would be like, for 3 days, I get up at 1:15, and then the next 3 days, 1:30, then the next 3 days, 1:45. So you're gradually pushing that time frame back until you start to see her sleep longer. Otherwise, if you keep that consistent time of 1:30, taking her out and stuff, you're creating a habit.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And I've had clients who like had the puppy for 2 months and then they, they come work with me and then they're having to still get up,
Right.
at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, why? I was like, why are we still doing this? Like the puppy should be sleeping through the night. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's like the easiest fix. Right. So you have both approaches. You can try to just sleep through the night and see what happens. Sometimes the puppies just go back to sleep. They don't soil their kennel.
Right.
Okay. They might whine and pine for 20 minutes, but then they just go back to sleep. And then you wake up when you wake up and then you take them out. And then eventually they just sleep through the night. Okay. So it just depends on how it works with Pretzel, whether or not she potties, whether or not she goes back to sleep, and what's going to be realistic. Because I understand if she's barking because she's soiled her kennel or she's barking because she's frustrated because she knows you let her out, then it's going to be a problem for your neighbors.
Right.
Okay. With the pee pads, I don't suggest you do pee pads. It's going to teach her to go to the bathroom inside the house.
Right.
Okay. And I see like you have a rug there by your oven, and then I see you have like like what looks like a fur skin over by your TV.
Yeah.
Is dogs don't differentiate between like fur skin and grass.
Okay.
They just think soft absorbent surface, soft absorbent surface.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is any rugs that you have, I would just roll them up. Does she get free time or is she always in the pen?
No, she's always in a pen.
Okay. So when you end up, I'm assuming you're going to graduate her through to freedom in the home, right?
Right.
Is whenever you get to that stage, I would recommend that you roll up all those things.
Okay.
Because puppies will destroy them very quickly. Okay. Until she's fully potty trained and we know she's not chewing on things, you'll save yourself some heartache and some dry cleaning bills. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
The other things that I've seen some clients do is that they will like wrap the rugs or the skins with like a plastic, so they still have it, but they're protected, which is also fine. So you can do either put them away until she's fully potty trained and we don't have to worry about chewing, or you can wrap them up again until she's fully potty trained. All right, but you still might have to deal with chewing. So potty pads and we'll talk about the balcony patch. I know they say stuff like, pheromones to make the puppy like pee on the pad and all that stuff. It's
Right.
marketing BS.
It doesn't work.
It's more so like, in order to make the potty pad work, you know how it's a square?
Yeah.
You would have to make a fence around the potty pad so there's no way to avoid it. Okay? Because I had a client that needed me to train the dog to go on the potty pad. And I said, the only way to guarantee that is to put a fence around it and have the entrance so that the dog, because as she gets bigger, by the way, and she gets longer, she's going to be squatting and she's going to miss.
Right.
So so the pheromone thing is just BS. Like it's super, super rare that a dog will just like recognize and naturally go to a potty pad because they're meant to pee on grass.
Right.
They're meant to be on trees and grass. There's not meant to be concrete. There's not meant to be buildings or anything like that. That's human stuff.
Yeah.
So instinctually, she's supposed to be peeing on grass and everything. The pee pad is, just, money corporation stuff. But also it teaches bad habits. Okay. So like, let's say we do get a puppy who goes in one particular spot. I will ask the owner, is this going to be here forever? And they most of the time say no, that this is just while we potty train. Then I say then get rid of it, because when you remove it, your dog's going to keep going on that exact same spot.
Right.
Because they don't think, again, they're just thinking this is where I used to use the bathroom. Okay. And what we want to do is put her on a schedule.
Okay.
Because I know you're talking about kind of predicting when she goes and there's more misses than hits during the day with the pee pad and all that stuff, right? So, and we want to touch upon separation anxiety. So during the day, Pretzel has her kennel, which is open, and she's free reign within the pen area. Is that correct? Okay. And where do you work from home? Are you like in the living room area or are you in your own room?
I'm next to her.
Okay. I suggest that you kennel her. Are you like a 9 to 5 kind of schedule?
Yeah.
But Monday through Friday, but just at home.
Yeah.
Okay. My suggestion is while you work your 9 to 5 is you kennel her. Okay. Would you typically leave to go to work if it wasn't for COVID?
Yes.
Okay. The reason why we want to do this is because she's going to get used to that freedom, and puppies go through a lot of stages. Okay. The puppy you have today is not going to be the same puppy in a couple of months. Okay. She's going to change. She's going to get very used to you working next to her and having freedom.
Right.
And then one day when we go back to normalcy, you leave and we're
Right.
going to get separation anxiety. Okay. And separation anxiety is very difficult to fix. Okay. So by putting her in the kennel from 9 to 5, and ideally I would have her in a kennel 9 to 5 in a separate room. So you create separation. Okay. Is you're making it up because once, like, let's say you have to go back to work in like 2 months. Okay. She's going to be then 3 to 4 months old, right?
Right.
Is if you try to leave her free reign, like puppies will knock things down, like she can knock that pen down. They grab things, they destroy things, they chew on things, right? Is that freedom is going to lead to some potential issues. And I did have, and it was coincidentally a German Shepherd puppy, a client's puppy who chewed a plastic lawn chair and a strip of plastic punctured the dog's throat and stuff. Okay, and the dog passed. That's like a 1 in a million story. It's my one and only kind of puppy horror story. But it was a young puppy that was given, that accidentally was given freedom and chewed on stuff, and that happened. Okay, so the crating at this age keeps your puppy safe and prevents her from doing that stuff, right? But also, if she's used to freedom and then all of a sudden it's like I have to leave and now crate you from 9 to 5, it's a 180.
Right.
It's a 180 from life that she's used to, that it's going to be a lot of conflict. Okay. And she's super young right now. She's like a blank slate. So you're just getting her used to 9 to 5. The only difference is you're home. Right. But she's still got that familiarity of I'm in my kennel from 9 to 5.
Right.
And then, when you go back to work, nothing's changing other than you're leaving now. Okay, so it makes that transition much easier as opposed to a hard pivot of being free while I'm working from home in the same room with me to now I have to leave and you have to be crated for 8 to 9 hours. Okay.
Right.
Now, because she's a puppy, I would adjust it like you would be going to work. So like if you would leave at 8:30 to be at work at 9, then you adjust your potty schedule for that 8 to 8:30 or whatever time frame. And then at 8:30, she would be kenneled. And like, let's say you would have a dog walker come at the afternoon, or maybe you have 2 dog walkers if she's still potty training. Then just make your schedule. So from let's say from 9 to 1, she's in the kennel, and then you take a lunch break. You take Pretzel, you take her out for a potty break, her poop break, maybe a 30-minute walk, then back in the kennel from 1 to 5. Right. So you're replicating what life would look like. So if you were to have a walker come midday, it would fall in line with that schedule to create some familiarity. Okay. Now, the possible problem we may have is you're trying to work from home and now she's whining and barking in the kennel.
Right.
Okay. Because she's gotten used to a certain schedule.
Right.
If you cannot, and again, remember, talk to your neighbors, because if they're gone from 9 to 5 and you can isolate her in the room and it's muffled and you can still have your meetings, then I just let her do it. Okay. Because if you try to go and shush her, if you try to go and give her something to keep her preoccupied, she's learning if I bark, mom will come give me attention, and you're creating a problem, right? Is ideally, if you can ignore it, I just ignore it. Okay. And then you should see a gradual decline in that behavior as she learns, this doesn't get me any kind of attention. Okay. If it stays static or if it gets worse, okay, if it's getting worse, we need to address it. If it's not getting better, then it may just take time. And if it's affecting your work, then I suggest doing this on the weekends or at times when you're not on calls, so you can deal with it and still kind of make progress, but it's not going to be inhibiting your work.
Right.
Okay, so there's no right or wrong here because every case is different. Some puppies, they catch on super quick, no problem, easy peasy. Other puppies are a bit like, this is going to take some considerable effort. okay? But you're trying to replicate what life would look like. For puppies, because they go through so many developmental stages, you're also, again, preventing any potential or avoiding any potential risk factors that there may be with the growing puppy. And she's not getting so spoiled by this freedom that when you finally have to keep her confined, she's not going to be so, like, you know, confrontational about it.
Right.
Question,
And so, all right, so I have a second bedroom. It's not very well lit. And it's kind of those built up rooms which isn't built up all the way to the top. So I'm gonna be able to hear her, and she will be able to hear me if I'm on calls. So she's gonna know that I'm around.
That's correct.
But that she's by herself in the crate. Now so I'm assuming that the schedule will look something like, okay, I will time it according to when I wake up, as if I'm going to work. I would still bring her for when she wakes up. I'll bring her downstairs for her potty. Right, bring her back up, feed her breakfast, and give her water in her crate. Now, do I let her finish before I close the crate, or do I let her finish, remove the bowls, and then close the crate?
We're gonna want to adjust it so she gets 2 outings before you go to work. Okay.
Okay.
So you're gonna have your morning outing, which she just gets whatever out of her system.
Okay.
You bring her back, and let's say you kennel her and you feed her, and as you get ready for work or whatever, right? And then you'd come back, and then whether or not she's finished doesn't matter. You would put everything away, okay? And you can leave a little bit of water, okay?
Okay.
But put the food away, even if she's not finished. You just put the food away.
Okay.
And then take her out again.
Okay.
So if she eats at like 10 o'clock, then at 10:15, 10:30 is when I'd want to take her out, for example. Obviously for you it'd be like, let's say 8 o'clock she ate, 8:15, 8:30, I'd want to take her out to potty before I leave. So she can expel anything that's left over. But also, you know, puppies typically at this age have to go within 15 to 30 minutes of eating and drinking water.
Right. So
that she's not full, and then you leave, and then obviously there's going to be accidents, right? And then you would crate her, and then you would, you know, from like 9 to 1 or whatever, she'd be in the kennel, and then you'd come back, take her out, get her business out. Whether or not you want to feed her a lunch, you know, up to you. And then again, you're trying to recreate what life would look like. So if it's like I would have a dog walker come and spend an hour with her, then you would spend an hour.
Right.
And then you'd put her back up, you know, make sure you give her another, you know, if you take her out, then feed her lunch, you want to take her out again prior to kenneling her, and then you go back to work from 1 to 5.
Okay.
Right. So, and maybe it doesn't look like that. For some of my clients, they're like, no, like, you know, the dog walker just comes, walks them for 15 minutes and puts them back in, and then they don't eat lunch because we don't want the potty. Then I go, then you recreate that. Okay.
Right.
Don't feel bad about any of this stuff. Okay.
So it's okay. It's okay to like transition her to, because currently she takes 3 meals a day. It's okay to transition her to like 2 meals.
At this age, I do recommend 3.
Okay.
At 3, until 6 months, it's 3 meals. After 6 months, 2 meals, and then after a year, I do 1 meal. But in some cases with the client, like they personally will feed their puppy twice. Okay. And as long as the puppy's doing fine, I don't care personally. Okay. So just go by personal preference. My recommendation is 3 times. But in some cases, the client's like, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. And they go, that's fine. Just, you know, just make sure you're recreating what life would look like is all I care about. Okay.
Is there a reason why you would recommend three meals a day up until the 6 months?
It's to help with the in terms of digesting and stuff, so they're not overly full and then having to poop a ton, like in one kind of sitting and stuff, kind of dispersing it. Plus, like just the breakdown of nutrients, whatever.
Right.
And that's the general recommendation. Like even veterinarians will say like, you know, three meals a day or whatever.
Right.
And for puppies, I'll typically do like 7 o'clock in the morning, midday, and then 7 o'clock at night, or
Right.
6, midday, 6, and then end it. Okay.
Right.
Um,
When you say end it, do you mean end water as well?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So it makes the overnight thing easier.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's where I struggle. I feel like, you know, yes, she'll have her water with her meals, and then I'll take her for a walk. Let's say we go for a 15-20 minute walk.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, you know, when she comes up for a walk, she needs water.
Mm-hmm. You can give her water. It's just we don't want to have water available all the time.
Right, right.
Not till she's potty trained, because then you can't keep track of when she's drinking water, right?
Okay.
Because when she drinks water and eats at this age, kind of dictates what her schedule is going to be like.
Right.
Okay.
So
the general rule of thumb is an ounce per pound. So if your puppy is 15 pounds, then 15 ounces of water is what you need a day technically.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say, for example, it's 15 ounces. Then I could do 5 ounces with breakfast, 5 ounces with lunch, and then 5 ounces with dinner.
Okay.
Right. So that starts to put the body on a schedule. Now, you may take her for a walk in between where you go, hey, she had a walk. I feel like she needs water. That's fine. But at least now you know I gave her an extra 3 ounces of water. So then, you know, in 15, 20 minutes, you may have to run her out to go potty, or I might have to kennel her in the anticipation that she's going to have to pee and make a mistake.
Right.
Okay. So at this age, you want to control her resources.
Okay.
So for puppies, when you put them at a fixed time of like eating at, you know, 6, let's say it's 6, 12, 6, you'll start to see a very consistent bowel and bladder.
Right.
Schedule. And it makes it easier for you to predict when she's going to have to go. And then as she gets older, we just gradually start to make that schedule a bit more realistic. So we're not taking her every 2 to 3 hours.
Right.
Okay. So
it's not true that we, like for puppies at least, that you shouldn't be restricting water.
no, you should.
Okay.
You should. Yeah. So remember, let's say for breakfast, she gets her food and then 5 ounces of water.
Okay.
And I give puppies 5 minutes. Okay. To eat their food. And so puppies typically just devour everything.
Yeah, she's quick.
And if they don't, then I put it away. They don't get anything till the next meal.
Okay.
Because what happens is it teaches the puppy, this is limited. I will only have this for 5 minutes. So she's going to take what she needs.
Right.
Okay. And she might leave some leftover water. That's fine. Like puppies are really good. Dogs are really good about taking what they need. Okay. They're like, every now and then I'll get a puppy or dog that'll they're like emotional eaters. They'll like just do more, but it's super rare. Okay. So don't be like, if you feed her and she doesn't eat everything and then there's always like food left over, then I just think you're overfeeding your dog. You know, but people tend to go like, oh my God, they're not eating all the food. I'm like, yeah, because they don't need it. Okay. Right. So yes, you do want to restrict both food and water.
Okay.
My suggestion is 5 minutes. I keep feeding in the kennel. Okay. Because
do I close the crate when
I close it. Yeah.
Okay.
I put them in food and water. I close it and then I leave for 5 minutes and then I come back and then I put away. Okay. Because like for some puppies, they won't eat when you walk away.
Right.
Or when you close the kennel, they won't eat. Okay. And that can potentially develop into separation anxiety. So what I do is when I put the food down, I'm like, all right, bye. I'm not going to baby you and be here for you. Like there's people that'll sit next to the cage so their puppy can eat. Because when they walk away, their puppy won't eat. Okay. Right. That's a problem. That creates separation anxiety. I go, here you go. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Right. 5 minutes later, I come back and the puppy, and you'll see the puppy look at you and then start eating. I go, pick it up, put it away. Okay. Then at the next meal, it's the same serving. I don't compensate. Okay. It's the same serving. 5 ounces of water, half a cup of food, whatever. Close it, walk away. They do it again. I come back, all of a sudden they start eating. I take it away, I put it up. And eventually the puppy goes, when you leave and you come back, the food, everything disappears. They're gonna eat.
Okay.
But it helps them learn to not need you in order to eat.
Right.
Okay. But people feel bad or they worry, like, oh my God, my puppy's not eating. And I go, it's against instinct to starve themselves to death. Okay. So once I get this out the way, then they eat their food no problem. I don't have to worry about a picky eater in the future, you know, because picky eaters are because people either free feed and they leave the food out all day, or they see the dog not eating and they'll put cheese on it, they'll put chicken on it. So the dog just waits till better stuff comes.
Right.
Right? I don't. If I want to put something, I'll put it, but I do it before. I don't do it to make the dog eat.
Okay.
Because this is where behavior problems come from.
Right.
Okay. So if she doesn't eat, it's okay. A couple meals, it's fine. She will eat when she just learns, like, all right, like mom's not joking around, like it's eat now or don't get to eat at all.
Right.
Like my mom did that to me growing up. She's like, you don't like peas? Too bad. You're gonna eat it or you're not gonna eat dinner.
Right.
Okay. So and that will help with the kennel as well, because she's gonna think, man, I only get food in the kennel for 5 minutes and it's the only time I get food. So she's really gonna like that area, and it will help with the potty training because it's going to deter her from pottying in the kennel because she also eats there.
So when I keep her in the crate, whether it's to eat or like, between 9 to 1 and 1 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
Do I still restrict the area that I have for her now, which is
Oh
actually,
yeah, like space-wise, yes.
okay.
Because let's say the crate is too big, she'll pee and poop in one corner and then sleep on the other side.
Okay.
Do you have a better blanket in there?
I do.
Okay. I would remove that.
Okay.
Because especially with dogs like German Shepherds. Is it German Shepherd or no?
No, she's a mini Aussie Doodle.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of another client's dog. It's a
Yeah.
German Shepherd. So because of the fur, if you find like she either pushes it to the edge and stuff, it's because she's too hot.
Right.
They'd rather just have the bare pan. Okay. Now, the other part of the reason
You're
is,
probably going to hate this, but I got her a little fan to give her that air through the night. Because, I don't turn, my apartment is not very cold. But I don't turn the air conditioning on throughout the day.
that's fine.
Um,
I'm not opposed to it.
okay.
Okay. Because like, that's not going to make problems. I don't care about that.
Okay.
But let's say with the fan on, you see her pushing that thing aside, she's still warm.
Okay. She doesn't.
Okay. The next thing I worry about, and I know you said that she hasn't had a potty mistake yet in the kennel.
Right.
Right. Is what I suggest is I use like a white towel or a white bed in the beginning, because
Okay.
I want to see if there's any mistakes.
Right.
Right. Because a lot of times I've had owners think that the dog was doing great in the kennel, and then they'll go to wash the bed or whatever, and they're like, man, it stinks of pee, and it's because the dog was peeing on the bed the whole time, but nobody knew because they couldn't see it.
Right.
Right. So if it's a white or light colored bed, you can see the yellow stain, so it makes it very very visual. Is if we see her using it as essentially like a pee pad within the kennel, you want to remove it, because since it's absorbing the urine, it's
Right.
not as gross as peeing and having a puddle here and like having to avoid the puddle.
Right.
Okay. Now that you can play by ear. Okay. So I'm not opposed to beds in the kennel. I'm only opposed to them if the puppy is having mistakes on the bed.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And you can always like kind of just pat it whenever you remove her as well, if it's like a darker colored bed, to see if there's any moisture, and then do the smell test or whatever. And I do that every time while you're in the potty training stage.
Yep.
Because people tend to assume, and it's usually there's something going on. Okay. So now we're going to talk about getting a schedule going. Okay. This schedule only applies when you would be home and free with her. Okay. This would not apply to the 9 to 5 schedule.
Okay.
The 9 to 5 schedule is actually what helps Pretzel potty train faster, because it's making her hold her bladder and her bowel movements for a longer period of time, so that when she's given freedom, it's easier.
Right.
Okay. So, and then we'll talk about the balcony as well. The balcony is a good idea. I've had plenty of clients use the balcony. And you said you have a fake grass patch, right? So they do sell, I'm not sure if you're aware, of grass patches meant for dogs to go potty on. And you can get a subscription, and it's the one is called Fresh Patch.
Okay.
It was on Shark Tank, and I've had a few clients use it, and you would most likely have more success with that because it's grass. So it's what she's supposed to pee on. And you can pick the size that you want. I had a client who had like the little size, because she had a little teacup Yorkie who was like maybe 4 to 5 pounds. And she would have to replace it like every week or two because it was so small. Even though it was a small dog, she said it would smell really bad after a week or two. So then she just moved to a bigger one, and it would last her a month. Okay. Right. So then she would only get, her subscription was once a month for a bigger piece. Okay. For smaller puppies, it also gives her more area coverage, you know? So then you can measure your balcony and kind of just pick the size. And then once she gets really tuned into it, when she's older, you can work on shrinking. But having more to work with in the beginning would make it easier. Okay.
So I don't know if it's Fresh Pet that I got, but it is a grass pea pad.
But is it grass or is it fake grass?
Oh, it's fake grass.
This is grass.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, it's literally a piece of grass with dirt.
Got it. Okay.
And they give you a little square to place it in.
Okay.
So look into it. You know, you can keep with your fake grass. Okay. It's just if she doesn't take to it, it's because it's not natural to her.
Right.
Okay. So I'm gonna give you the instructions of how we would work with your fake grass. Okay. But if you see it's difficult for her to catch on to, then the fresh patch would be a very nice alternative because it's more realistic for her.
Right.
Okay. And now just think of this, by the way, would that fake grass patch be a place for her to go potty permanently? Or is it just because she's a puppy?
I would think permanently.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because I only say that because for some of my clients, it's temporary because it's more convenient. But then I'll tell them, you know, once you remove this and you have your dog outside, your dog's going to keep peeing and pooping there.
Well, so, I mean, on that note, I would love not to have to be able to do that.
Okay.
The only reason why I am more thinking of, yes, it probably will be that permanent. It's just, you know, it was with the, I might have to wake up in the middle of the night or really early in the morning for her to go potty, and I don't want to go downstairs. It's just easier to go to my balcony. Mm-hmm. Right? But if we have her on the schedule and that she pees and poops like 3 times a day, then we don't need it.
Gotcha. So then what we'll do is I'll give you the schedule, and then use the tab. I would suggest keeping the patch. Like, let's say, you know, the goal is to try to just sleep through the night and see if she gets over it. But like if she starts barking and it's like, I can't ignore her because of my neighbors, you'd have to do the gradual approach, right? Of like just every night, every few nights, you just extend it a little bit longer. And so that when you let her out, you would let her to go potty at the patch still. Right. And then you'd come back inside, and I would just kennel her or whatever and then go to sleep again, personally. Okay. Because the more time you spend with her, the more rewarding it is for her, the more she's going to keep doing it.
Right.
Okay. So it's kind of like, I let you out do your business, but then we're going back to sleep again.
Okay.
So she's 11 weeks, correct?
Correct.
Right. So the way I approach this is if I have an 8-week-old puppy, the general rule of thumb is they can hold it for an hour per month. So at 2 months, they can hold it for 2 hours.
Okay.
When they're awake and active, okay? This does not include overnight. So
Okay.
overnight, 2 months old, I teach puppies to just hold it overnight right off the bat, okay? And then there's 2 ways of going about this. The one way that works really well, but it's a bit tedious, is I increase the time between potty breaks by 15 minutes every week, okay? So if the puppy's 8 weeks old, it's every 2 hours. Then at 9 weeks, every 2 hours and 15 minutes. At 10 weeks, 2.5 hours. At 11 weeks, 2 hours, 45 minutes. At 12 weeks, 3 months, we're now at 3 hours. Okay. So
between potty breaks, you mean?
No. So it's the months. It's every. It's represents hours, not potty breaks. Right. So at 2 months, she would go out every 2 hours.
Right.
8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Right.
Okay. And then each week I increase that time frame between potty breaks 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. So like technically at 11 weeks, her schedule right now would be every 2 hours and 45 minutes she would go potty.
Okay.
Okay. So then at 12 weeks, which is 3 months, it would be every 3 hours.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Well, it does. I guess, you know, what was confusing to me was more of, okay, so if she needs, but if we're saying we should crate her between 9 to 5.
Yeah, it doesn't apply to 9 to 5.
Oh, got it. Okay.
When she's in the kennel, it doesn't apply.
Okay.
It's when you would, so like, let's say from 5 to 10 when you're home, right? When you would be home and she would be free, or Saturday and Sunday.
Got it. Okay.
Is when you kick in with the schedule.
Okay.
Okay. So like 9 to 5 is 9 to 5. You know, it's the, morning to lunch, then potty break, lunch, another potty break, whatever, back in the kennel, back at 5, potty break, and then freedom.
Okay.
And let's say on a Saturday, you leave to like go run errands or something, and you're gone for 4 hours. You wouldn't come back for the potty break.
Right.
You'll just be gone. So when she's in the kennel, the kennel's your best friend is because it's teaching her to hold it for longer.
Right.
Right. So like overnight, when you're working 9 to 5, or if you leave to like run errands and you're gone for 4 hours, but technically she's supposed to go every 3 hours, like you wouldn't come back to let her out.
Right.
Okay? So like, let's say, for example, you're on a 2-hour schedule and you leave for 4 hours. And, I would tell you, make sure you potty her before you leave to make it easy. And then you leave for 4 hours. But maybe you come back and she had a potty mistake when you were gone.
Right.
But then she had to sit there with it for, whatever that time was. And that's going to deter her from doing it again. So whenever she's in the crate and you're not at work, or if you're not at home, if you're at work or if you're not at home, it doesn't matter how long she's in there for. Okay. But I would expect in the beginning to come back to potty mistakes. But that's how we teach them.
Right.
Okay. So I don't correct it. I don't get mad. I go, okay, you had a potty mistake. I clean you up. I clean your kennel. I take you outside to go potty. And now we start our clock again.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that make more sense now?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So, so technically she'd be on an every 2-hour, 45-minute schedule. Okay. If you did it the more tedious way. And the reason why I like it is because it's mistake.
I'm sorry. She just peed. Like I smelled it, which was why I'm like, oh, something's wrong. I didn't even. I wasn't even looking.
It's okay. If
That's
you
her.
clean it up, you can clean it up. She's cute.
Do you mind if I clean it up?
Yeah,
If
no,
not,
go ahead. Go ahead and clean it up. It's fine.
all over. Oh, Pretzel. I'm like, why did I sign up? I didn't realize I was signing up for a full-time cleaning job.
Oh yeah, it's like having a kid.
Oh. Do you have any dogs yourself?
Me, I have two. I have a pit bull and a chihuahua.
What are their names?
Lexi is my pit bull, and my chihuahua's name is Boncho.
Actually, it was funny because Lexi was the first name I thought of that I wanted to have for her.
She looks like a pretzel. I like it.
And it was an inspiration from a TV show that I watched. It's not very popular. It's not very good either. But yeah, it's this blind girl who has a guide dog. She was solving murders, and it's a golden retriever.
Mm-hmm.
So the colors really match with Pretzel.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was the inspiration for her name.
Yeah, I've only ever had one other dog named Pretzel, and it was a pit bull a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I've not. I actually don't know any other dogs called Pretzel.
Yeah.
The name my sister got her was Donut.
Donut.
And I'm like, no, Pretzel's cuter. So, all right, we're done. So another quick question with like not 9 to 5, right? When I'm home or when I'm home from work or it's the weekends.
Right.
Is the recommendation to, because currently she's in a confined space, right? My apartment is not puppy proofed.
Sure.
By any means. And I don't know that, like, see my kitchen counter table, like, all my pots, or like she can access them. Is the recommendation to, I don't know, create this area up so that she has, like, create whatever area that I don't want her in?
Oh, no, you're fine. Because we want her to adapt to the environment, right?
Okay.
Is right now for this week, I would keep your setup with the playpen and stuff.
Okay.
And then if you want to give her like moments or like, maybe an hour when you're going to be able to watch her and stuff to be free, you're gradually giving her more freedom within the home.
Okay.
Once the way it should work is she's not going to really care about that stuff. Okay. But since she's a puppy and she's going to go through chewing phases, that's where you're going to get a problem, because then she'll start chewing on like the wood of like maybe the entertainment center or the corners of your cabinets and stuff like that. So that's where things start to get a little bit tricky.
Right.
For this week, what I would focus on is the potty training schedule. Get that, because that's going to take the longest to do. Okay. And you want to get that structure now. So we have limiting resources, right? Adjusting her water. You can give her a little bit of water extra if it's after a walk, but just plan that she may have to potty soon after again.
Right.
You have the instructions for sleeping through the night. You can still use your patio balcony as like just in case, like if it's late at night, you don't want to go downstairs, that's perfectly fine. But you're gradually weaning her off of that stuff, because my dogs go out 3 times a day: in the morning, in the afternoon, and then in the evening, right before bed. As you're trying to build Pretzel to that schedule, so you're slowly just kind of weaning away things or removing things that aren't going to help you get to that result. Okay. When it comes to the schedule, I would suggest you just start from scratch and do every 2 hours.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say on a Saturday morning, you wake up and you take Pretzel out at 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay. She pees and poops. You go back inside. You give her lunch or breakfast at 8:30. You give her 5 minutes, and then I keep her in the kennel for another, 15, 30 minutes. And then I take her out again to go potty. And she looks like she's emptied herself. You come back in, it's 9 o'clock. Then 11 o'clock would be Pretzel's next outing. Okay.
Sorry, just to go back a little bit on that. You said leave her in the crate for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
After
till they're outing.
So I'll give her that 5 minutes. I'll take away the food bowl and then put her back inside for 15, 20 minutes.
And leave her inside, correct.
Okay.
Because what can happen is if she eats her food with puppies, typically within 15 to 30 minutes, they'll have to pee and poop.
Right.
If you'll feed her and then she'll be wandering and you might be doing something and then you turn around and she peed.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
And you're trying to prevent that. You're trying to create habit.
Right.
So unless you're full on watching, like even now we were talking, right? And then Pretzel peed.
Right.
Right. Because you're distracted by me. So whenever you're going to be distracted and you can't have full attention on Pretzel, I'd want to have her kenneled, right? So like when you're working your 9 to 5, she's kenneled because you can't keep an eye on her, plus separation anxiety. At 9 o'clock, you take her out, she's good, you come back inside and they go, okay, 11 o'clock is the next time.
Right.
Now let's say you give Pretzel some freedom because you can watch her. And like at 11:30, you see Pretzel, like maybe she's napping at your side and she gets up and like goes to walk away. That is a prime example of when puppies have a potty mistake. Is after they wake up from a nap, if they're doing something and then change it all of a sudden, like maybe she's playing with the toy and chewing on it, then she just drops it and like starts to walk away. Like that's the sign of I'm going to go use the bathroom, okay? Or if you see her like sniffing around a lot in a circle or like sniffing around the rug, it's a sign of I'm going to go potty.
Okay.
I pick up Pretzel, right? So let's say it's at her outing is at 11, but you see her look suspicious at 10:30. I put her in the kennel.
Okay.
I don't take her out.
Okay.
I put her in the kennel till 11 o'clock. Then at 11 o'clock, I take Pretzel, take her outside to potty. She potties. I know she doesn't have to poop. Back inside. And then her next outing is at 1 o'clock. Okay. But the reason why we put them in the kennel is because if you take Pretzel at 9:30, at 10:30, you're not teaching her to hold it.
Oh, right.
That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to teach her to hold it, right? And a lot of my clients will say like, my dog, I taught my dog to bell, right? Yeah. I don't teach that either. Because what's going to happen is she's going to like ring the bell or something and you're going to be distracted and you're not going to hear it and she's going to pee and poop in the house.
Right.
When we teach dogs to hold it, they're not going on their schedule. They're going on your schedule.
Right.
Okay. So like my dogs, when I'm really busy, they only go out twice a day. They pee and poop in the morning and then they pee and poop before bed because I'm gone all day. Right. But they have I've trained my puppies to dogs exactly like I'm having you train your dog. So they had accidents where they peed and pooped in the kennel and they had to sit there for a couple of hours, but that's why they're really good about holding it.
Right.
Okay? And when you take her out, like I had a client that had a balcony and they had a little potty pad. So they would let their dog out every hour, their puppy every hour. And then they would give their puppy to me to watch, when they would go out of town. And the puppy would have a mistake every, after an hour, like, an hour and a half later.
Right.
Because she was used to an every hour outing because they had a balcony.
Right.
Right. So when you do that, you're going to make your life a lot easier. And then you would gradually, so there's every 15 minutes or 15 minutes a week, or you do every 2 hours, and then in 4 weeks, you do it to every 3 hours. Then in 4 weeks, every 4 hours, right? And you're gradually increasing it an hour every 4 weeks. Okay, so there's two approaches. The first one is every week you increase 15 minutes, and it works really well because it's a gradual increase in time for the dog.
Right.
But it's real tedious because you have to, get it down to the 15 minutes or whatever.
Right.
Most of my clients usually do, every 2 hours for 4 weeks, and then every 3 hours, every 4 hours, so on and so forth. That works as well, except since it's a bigger jump, they tend to, there's usually some kind of issues there, okay? So anytime she looks suspicious or if she's running around playing, typically after a lot of running around, within 10 to 15 minutes, you'll randomly just see her stop and pee.
Yeah.
Because of all the movement.
Okay.
The exception to the schedule rule is after meals. Okay, so like if you feed her at noon, at like 12:15, 12:30, I will take her out again.
Right.
So that's typically where puppies have to go. It's 15 to 30 minutes after eating or drinking water. And then once we come back, then I would start my 2-hour clock.
Right.
Okay. If you leave, you know, to run some errands or something and she's in the kennel for 4 hours, 5 hours, it's okay. Just make sure prior, right? So like, let's say I took her out at 1, but I'm going to leave at 2 o'clock to go run errands. Then like at 1:45, I let her go potty, get that out of, you know, make it easier for her. And then I'm gone from 2 to 7, right? And then I come back and then no potty mistake, good girl. We will take her outside. She pees and poops, good girl. Back inside. Now her potty break, you know, if it was at 7, would be at 9 o'clock. Okay, and if you go to bed at 10, then at 9:45, you would, you know, there's going to be exceptions to the 2 hours. It's not going to be concrete.
Right.
It's just the general structure of getting her potty trained.
Okay.
Questions?
So just for this week, focus on, well, this weekend, focus on, because I'm around, so I don't have to crate her 9 to 5, right? I'll still keep her in the playpen area, but be on schedule for meals and potty, right? 15, 20 minutes after a meal, and then every 2 hours. And I have the water restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll close the crate when she eats. And then come Monday, which is the beginning of the 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'll put her in the room, and then we'll start that 9 to 5 crate schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Correct.
And then when I'm back from home, from work, sorry, that's where I let her out of the crate. So if I would typically to go to work and come back,
Mm-hmm.
when I am back, do I let her out and bring her out to potty?
Correct. Right away. Run her out the pot.
Okay.
Yeah. If she has a mess in there, you know, you can like carry, because she's small, you can carry her out, you know, have her go bathroom first, then back inside, clean the kennel, clean her up, and then start your 2-hour clock.
Okay.
But yeah, anytime she leaves that kennel, it's straight to the bathroom. Okay. And if you like, because sometimes puppies will potty like in the hallways and stuff, if, you know, people have to catch an elevator.
Yeah.
Is at this stage, it's okay if you carry her out and then set her down outside.
Okay.
It's okay for now to avoid that. It works backwards. Once she starts to learn how to hold it, then she'll be able to walk through the hallway and get on the elevator and all that stuff without pottying.
And she typically wouldn't pee and poop when she's being held.
Okay, yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, usually.
Right. And she hasn't peed on me so far, so, and I can't remember what we said about, like with her going through the chewing phases now. So I should be, like with all my wires around, I should be kind of, you know, putting barriers up in that area.
Yeah, if you can block them off, that'll be the easiest thing for this week.
Okay.
And then have something to, like, if I would like just grab her and like give her something else for now. But we'll cover, so you'll have your homework for this week with potty training and the stuff that we covered. And then next week we'll kind of catch up and go how to go, and you'll say this worked, this didn't work. Okay. I need a different answer for this one, and I'll help you out. And then we'll move towards like other things like chewing and stuff like that. Okay. Right. But because I think I heard her, like, it sounds like she's chewing on something now.
Correct.
Yeah, like it's like I keep hearing like the little thing like moving and stuff.
But you
yeah.
well,
Perfectly fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I have another call.
Okay.
It was a pleasure. If you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in a week. And then once this is uploaded and stuff, I'll email it to you.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Right. You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Again. Bye.